Okay, so I was just joking about the rage quit part, but let's get into some gameplay showcasing the Lucemon Control Deck, and let's get right into it.
Alright, so for the Lucemon matchup today, we're actually going to be playing against Kuzuhamon, and looks like we're going to be going second. We see a Psychmon right here in our hand. Looks quite bricky at first, so we may consider mulligan here, but we actually didn't for various reasons. It's because we're actually going second, so we can also just Digivolve into Psychmon, cycle through a card, and we don't play a lot of rookies in this deck overall, which is why that's totally fine. And then the second follow-up play is to easily just go into Magna Angemon and then just recover as much as we can. That's really the whole game plan, and it's totally fine giving our opponent a little bit more memory. And then them playing a TK right off the bat is just really helpful for us. We do end up finding an Impmon instead here, which is better. So then we can utilize its trashing abilities and just go ahead and chip away. So passing back to them, like I said, Magna Angemon, the secondary condition or sort of game plan of this deck is to chip away with your rookies if you have them, chip away with some Digimon if you have them, but again, the main thing you want to be doing is recover as much as you can until you get into the sweet number of 10 cards in trash. So with Impmon here, we get to, mill. With its being undeleted, we get to draw one and trash one as well. And then remember, we do mill off a Rival's Barrage, which is going to be really good for us later on, and we can utilize it and save it to go for a clutch grab based on what we have trashed later on. So be a little bit careful with Rival's Barrage when you're playing this deck, because you don't want to go too hasty and go ahead and just start grabbing stuff just because. You want to save it for the really important cards to make big changes and big plays, because you're not going to be milling it as often, and you're not going to be seeing it as often compared to Lucemon deck. This is not a Lucemon deck after all, so there's not a lot of milling effects to see a Rival's Barrage. But anyways, following up what we played there, we went to Finalizing just to recover more, and that's all we really need to do. And then what we're going to do next is we're just going to use a Finalizing to beat them down, and we just want to, the game plan is basically to attack and be a little bit aggro at the same time. But at the same time as well, one of the best value things about this deck is that we can actually survive quite a long time thanks to the security, because as we recover, it's kind of like a semi-second deck. I mean, pretty much some of you guys might say it's just basically a second deck. So we're passing it and trying to make it as difficult as possible for the Kuzuhamon to play right there. So contemplating on what they want to do here, they do end up going for the yellow memory boost instead of just playing another Digivolution S, just because it doesn't really do too much for them. They get to play the Talmon out from Kuzuhamon's effect. Really good, trying to counter our board as much as possible by going wide would be the most ideal situation to be in. They do Digivolve the Venusmon right here, just wanting to slow us down for one turn. They want to have a bigger beater just to go into it. And we just Digivolve into Psychmon with no brainer right here. We're just contemplating what we really want to do. With the blanket effect of Venusmon, we can't really attack anyways, so might as well just sit still, wait a bit, thinking of the most memory efficient play here, but there's really no other line. So setting up the Kari as soon as possible is probably better for us, because as soon as we start recovering back to back, we can now suspend Kari to gain a memory back, especially with the Magna Angemon combo too. So we can play it slow, we don't have to rush to win. The Lucemon deck is just better the longer the game gets. It is, after all, a control-based deck. So once we rack up a certain amount of trash, we can, pop their things constantly, whittle down their board, whittle down their resources, and see what we got there. Running into Flamehouse Scythe is pretty good for us, but also not the greatest, because the only target we can really play is the Impmon back, but we can go ahead and chip away. But they do proceed to go into a rune mode right here and just try to take it out. And maybe they're just looking into a way to mill us out first. It's a pretty smart move, because when it comes to security control based decks or control based decks like these, decking the opponent out is also a secondary win condition. So, maybe they're just trying to mill us out and try to get advantage from that, and just to play it a little bit slow. And all we have to do just is hard play the Magna Angemon, cover one, suspend Kari, pass them back to 3, super memory efficient, because then they start after the TK anyways. They go for more Digivolving plays right here. Not entirely sure based on that, because that's kind of good for us. The more stacks they build, the more cards they draw. More cards they draw, we can deck them out. But the more stacks they build, the more potential removal we can get into, and it just takes out their resources and put us in a better position overall. So we're sitting pretty okay. We got a ton of security, and they just have to be pressured to swing in at some point. Running into a Dead or Alive at this moment is just not the greatest either, and that's why the Dead or Alive is a really, really good card, because you can play a level 5 Digimon, which would be Lucemon Chaos mode. If you have 10 or more in trash, you can play the regular Lucemon that's yellow instead too. And with Lucemon Chaos mode coming out, we get to pop their Digimon. So keep in mind, the other game plan is whenever you have Lucemon Chaos mode for this particular deck, you do want to have it in trash, just because of Dead or Alive can play it. Having at least one, you can keep another one in the hand just in case if you ever do decide to hard play it, or if you do decide to digivolve it on top of the yellow Lucemon level 3 to sort of like go for that kind of play. But otherwise, your priority, you just want to have one as soon as possible, just because like playing cards like Dead or Alive, there's potentially other cards that can play stuff back from trash as well. Mainly it's just going to be Dead or Alive, honestly. So then you can pull it off, because if that Lucemon Chaos mode wasn't there, our situation would be very different, and it would have been way worse instead. So we're still pretty good position right here overall. We were able to like pop their big Digimon with Ruin Mode swing in there. There's blanket 5k on the board again, slowing down the game pace, and they just continue to go for a stack. With Domon right here, even though they have minusing DP effects, the inheritable doesn't go through. So with Domon, it actually just bounces our Magna Angemon back to hand instead of minusing DP, because the Digivolution plugin S was played prior the Domon was actually on. So the inheritable of the Cubimon wouldn't happen, which is actually even better for us now. With Magna Angemon again back in our hand, we can just recover, and it's definitely very frustrating for Sam as he's trying to plow through against us. We're just gonna go ahead and chip away. We're not too worried about the blanket effect. We do survive with fall down mode. We just want to actually try to end this soon. After all, with Lucemon Control Deck, you're not really trying to stall and win through stalling. You still want to beat them down. That's really what you want to do. But funny enough, they're just recovering just as much as we are with Ruin Mode 2. Well, not as much as we are, but they're still recovering decently. And this deck is not like super good when it comes to like aggro attacking. Just because, yeah, it's strong DP though. It's pretty good. Like, you should attack at any opportunity that you see, any opportunity that you have, which is really important. They do digivolve into the other level 4 right here. I think it's Yokimon. I can't remember exactly its name, but it does give blocker to something until the end of the next turn that they have as well, which is nice. They go into another Kuzuhamon, go for a combo with Megalo Spark right here. They get to like minus 8,000 something. Minusing to our Magna Angemon is great, because that means we can't further digivolve it anymore. If we had a fall down mode in our hand, we could have recovered another. If we had Seraphi Shadow mode as well, or Shadow Seraphimon, we could just further digivolve. And they're just trying to go wide as much as they can right here, so then they can make multiple attacks later on, again with Domon, which is great. Swinging over our Finalizing right here, we get to play something back. Really no other targets other than Impmon, and again, we're not in the greatest position because they can just somehow potentially maybe delete the Impmon again with Shanghai Ruin Mode, which they have quite a bit, and we're just ending up to force the mill ourselves as well. And we can't really beat them down that way, which they did notice. Right here, we have 5 melee to work with, which is really, really good. We can just continue just to recover and let the security do the work. With the Lucemon we have by this time, we have probably more than 10 cards in trash, as you guys can see. So we can just hard play this for 5 and just recover and do nothing too much. And then we can even contemplate whether we want to suspend the Kari to gain the memory back and then make another play right there. But blanket 5k is still on the board, which is why Lucemon is just really good, because it's 10k and it's 5k, and the 5k blanket is not going to do too much to it. So we just end up playing a Miss Memory Boost and just like set up a little bit, since there's not too much that we can actually do. Keeping the Cyclone in the back, just because so far with the blanket 5k of Ruin Mode, as soon as we push it up, it's just going to get deleted. They're going to make an attack again. They want to slow us down. Unfortunately, hitting into a Gallantmon, which we actually want to see in our hand in most cases, just because it's actually really good as our offensive tool and removal tool at the same time. It can make surprise attacks that people see coming. Ran into a Rival's Barrage right here. Again, we're just going to trade Security with Security Bomb, Death Slinger back to back, and our Security is just absolutely cracked this game, which is really, really strong, really powerful. And I guess sometimes that's what makes this deck really fun in a way, like Lucemon, the whole idea of recovering, letting the Security do the work, is definitely a very unique playstyle that some people enjoy. I can see the fun in it sometimes, but yeah, making Sam go through this is quite a lot of pain, honestly. They swing into another Kari. Every time they just swing, we just get more value in a way. Whether we get more value or we just end up just deleting their stuff back to back with no problem at all. You know, we're just continuing to play our Magna Angemons as we can, just continue to recover as much as we can. It may look like we don't really have a game plan right here, but honestly, if it wasn't for Ruin Mode, we'd be swinging a lot more aggressively, or we'd be able to make a lot more checks. The Domon does return the Magna Angemon back again, just because of its on-play effect. And it's not optional either, so then we get to recover more now, which is fantastic for us. Now we're gonna go ahead and play the scattered mode. We don't really actually want to draw more cards or trash more cards at this moment, just because if we do, we might end up suffering ourselves and deck out and lose to ourselves. But we still do want to pressure and attack as much as we can. Right here, they're going to Kuzuhamon again, showcasing a really cool combo with this yellow option. I can't remember its name because it's kind of old option card, but what it does is that it changes the original DP of a Digimon to 4,000, I believe, or 3,000 for the turn. And then by synergizing with your DP reduction effects, you can easily just remove something. So right here, just contemplating what to remove. Or what to reduce by DP, which is our Lucemon, and then with the Daomon coming out from Kuzuhamon's second effect of using the option, they just bounce our scatter mode to not let us attack. They're really not letting us attack. They're doing a pretty good job in playing defensively and offensively at the same time, chipping us away and trying to do as much as they can right here. And, you know, sooner or later, I guess we're going to have not enough security to survive and going into another ruin mode, which is crazy. Lucemon does get deleted because it is affected by a -5k, but also it got turned into a 4 or 3k from that option card. So again, that's one less attack for us. And with ruin mode sitting there again, they're just like chilling for the most part, and we're trying to think here as well. The only thing that makes sense is to continue to recover. We were contemplating if we wanted to delete the ruin mode somehow with like Rivals Barrage or something like that, but you know, we're just gonna sit tight, just go into Magna Anja, use Kari, pop the boost, and then just go continue to recover as much as we can. Now we're back to 5 security again. Must be painful, honestly. But yeah, I really do want to showcase, like, you know, this deck in action to show you guys what it's really like. It is actually pretty strong. Another Gallantmon in security, which is not what we want to see because we can't really recursion. We don't have recursion for that particular card. Now we're seeing again scatter mode in our hands. We have like rookies we can potentially push up if we want to, but we also don't want to play these guys anymore at this moment, because if we play these cards, we end up drawing and trashing. We're just gonna deck ourselves out, like I mentioned earlier. We're getting closer and closer to deck the opponent out, so we want to be very careful with what we play. Right here, we're just contemplating again if we wanted to do like Kari to gain a memory back, you know, going into Fani recover. We have so much security. We're sitting pretty good. You know, there's no way that Kuzuhamon can just one-shot us out of nowhere. We swing in and just continue to attack while we can, other than just stalling them out. Running into the TK was just fantastic for us, actually, because they're forced to basically add something and recover. If they add something that's non-yellow, they don't get to recover. So I'm just counting trash right here at the moment to see if I'm able to sort of hard play the Lucemon, contemplating if whether I should get rid of the Shangri Ruin mode. But even if I hard play it, I still have to pay like at least 5 costs, and I don't want to give them 4 memory to work with in the beginning. I want to give them as little memory as possible at this moment anyways, just because there's not much cards left for them to play at this moment. We want to limit their plays as much as we can. Even hard passing was a, you know, I was contemplating on that, just because you know, we can sit tight, because playing the Psychomon right here potentially is just gonna get deleted if they do choose to attack with the ruin mode right here. But with 1 card left in their deck anyways, they're really trying really hard to see what they can actually do. It's just pretty doomed here. Running into another Dead or Alive now is just, again, really, really bad for them, but really good for us, where we get to play the Lucemon Chaos mode now here again. We get to pop something if we want to, but we do just pop their Digimon. They want to go for a randomon play just to reduce our security and just like pass from there. But also we're just discussing, maybe it just makes sense to pop the memory boost first, and then you can play the randomon and play something else and continue your turn that way. If that is something that they want to do instead, which could be a little bit more memory efficient. So they do that, and then, you know, passing us to 6 again with Domon bouncing our stuff in the end to our hand, just so that they can get out out of lethal range, because yeah, if they kept any more bodies, then we could just swung right there immediately. So they are trying really hard to prolong the game. We're running on the edge too. We only have 2 cards left, and they have 1 card left in their deck. So, you know, situation looks pretty doomed. We can just hard pass kind of, but we want to make sure that we're safe as well at the same time. To see what we do, it makes sense just to chip away and take out as much security as possible, and then potentially, you know, grabbing a Metal Garurumon Ace here just in case we might need it. That's why I've been saving it the entire game, just in case we need it. We're playing Flame House Life back to play Maycrackmon, popping, clearing their board. We don't want to recover anymore at this moment, just because if we do, we can lose the game, and if too much is happening. So we're just gonna, you know, again, hard play something and just like build a whiteboard and see how they want to answer it. And with 3 members to work with and like no cards left in deck, they can't draw anymore. Whatever they have in play is really what they have in play left. They pretty much have the entire deck in their hand at this moment. You know, Digivolving, you know, what other cards can they really play, and having to go through 4 security with potential bombs still. It's just not enough to push the game. But we're here again just contemplating what the most optimal play is, whether we can clear board or maybe somehow force me to add cards per se. You know, we're just seeing what's the best line of play really here is until the very end. Playing out the Dalmon here to just, you know, bounce our stuff. Playing, you know, pairing out with the option card, which is really fantastic. Again, swinging over our Lucemon with Kuzuha, but at this moment we're just gonna go into Metal Garurumon Ace, and then we just pass turn back to us, and we draw our final card, and then we just pass.
So yeah, like you saw, that's probably something you don't want to put your friends to go through, and that probably explains why there isn't much gameplay video when it comes to the whole Lucemon Control Deck, but I still hope you guys enjoyed it. And Sam had to go through quite a bit, so definitely show your support by liking this video, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell, and, you know, let him know that we're all there with him. He's still alive, don't worry, he's good. He almost flipped the table though. But anyways, if you guys haven't done so yet, check out the deck profile right here where I talk about it. Once again, huge shout outs to Pro Play Games and Danny G, because they came up with this particular deck, and I just really wanted to showcase it and show you guys and show how it's like and when I was playing it. Really, really fun stuff. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. We'll see you next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.